Evening, everyone. Camera's right to go. I'd like to ask the first question. Sammy, want to kick us off?
Something different?
I don't know.
Aaron, amazing. Is that all? Amazing knock today. 5 innings in, you're in super form. Have you felt in better nick? There was a few comments around that your techniques sharpen up. Have you felt as good as you have right now?
Oh, I think any time that you manage to get a few runs, you feel pretty good about your game. And my technique's probably tightened up slightly. There's been a few technical things that I've worked on that they're just working at the moment. Sometimes you change some things, but you don't get rewarded straight away with the hard work you put in the nets and behind the scenes. So yeah, it's been nice to get a little bit of positive reinforcement, I think, from my game.
What's Ricky Ponting? What effect has he had on you in the time you worked together so far in this tournament?
Yeah, he's been great. He's been great for all the players, not just myself, not just the batters. Like everyone, he's been brilliant around the group. Sriram's been fantastic. I've worked with him quite a bit. Obviously, JL a lot as well. So, I mean, there's days when you just have different access to different coaches. So you work with everyone equally. So it's not just because punters here, blokes are playing better. That might have a lot to do with it because he puts a lot of work in, but all the coaches put a lot of work in. So, but the answer to the question is, yeah, it's been great to have him around, no doubt.
Aaron, Australia has this history of captains or like larger than life characters, but generally when you speak to people about you, they just say, Aaron just keeps it simple. But how have you seen your style?
Makes me sound pretty boring, doesn't it?
It does actually, but like,
yeah.
But like, how have you seen your influence and style of captaincy over this team evolve over the last 12 months and leading into the World Cup?
That's a good question. I don't tend to take on too much outside of the actual captain's duties. I mean, you do all the planning as a group, the preparation, everything you do is done as a group. I think we've got some great leaders in our squad as well, which really helps out. That everyone acts and prepares and trains and looks after each other like a leader. So I would say my influence is minimal. It's more about everyone buying into the culture and doing the job that's asked of them really well, and it's a good environment to be in at the moment. There's a lot of good guys that are doing a lot of good things behind the scenes.
Mel?
Aaron, at the end of the Australian summer, which was end of a pretty torrid and
you can say it
period. Okay, it was rubbish. No, it was a tough period where you're changing formats, everything else. You spoke about being perhaps tentative in thought processes and in technique as well.
Yeah.
Is today's innings? Do you think it's the culmination of kind of coming back from that? And what do you think was key in the time between the end of the Australian season and now?
I think the time in Dubai or in the UAE, the series against Pakistan was really good. The end of the Indian series was really good as well in the one days. I probably just changed my mindset a little bit more than anything. I started to doubt my game a lot before that, along in the Australian summer, and there was a lot of times when I was just questioning every single decision that I was making, whether it was technical, mental, physical, like everything that I was doing, I was just questioning because you're looking for an answer that you don't know what the answer is. So it can be really tough at times when you don't know what the end result is, but you're searching so hard for something you don't know. So it was a really great learning for me over the summer. Obviously, would have been nice to have that at 22 and not 32, but I think overall, what I learned was you can strip it back as much as you want, but it doesn't change the basics of the game. The basics as an opening batter to go out there and defend the good ball and score runs. So for me, I was looking for everything other than just what the most basic thing, which is watch the ball and react to it. I mean, you can butter it up anyway, but I was just going back to the basics, doing a little bit of mental work on changing my mindset to just be positive and Andrew McDonald always says to me, if you get caught at mid-on or you get caught at first slip, you're still out. So play your natural game.
Aaron, Steve Smith looks really, really intense when he bats out there. Can you give us the insight on what it's like batting with him? Does that attitude rub off on you sometimes, or do you need to take a bit of a step back?
His first 10 balls, 20 balls is very intense. Obviously, you'll notice guys at the non-strikers end usually stand on the wicket. You get a bit more grip when you're running between wickets as well. But you'll notice when Steve starts his innings, you get pushed further and further wider. So he doesn't like to have anything just basically within miles of his view. So, but once you start to get into the partnership and the partnership starts flowing, then you get a bit more of a. He lightens up, he relaxes, and you have a little bit of banter in the middle, which is quite nice.
Aaron, what did sort of the quicks, I guess, learn today from the early onslaught from Sri Lanka? And is not having an all-rounder impacting on whether you play a spinner at the moment?
Yes, it is. We're really close to playing a spinner today and going with 3 quicks, a spinner and Maxi as well. But we just felt that the wicket wasn't going to offer any spin, and with a short boundary, and the wind turned out was going straight across to that short boundary. If we played an extra spinner, you're going to be pretty vulnerable if they get a left and right hand combination in at times. So we felt that the 4th quick was going to be a bit more of a asset to us, which I think it turned out that it was. I forgot the first part of your question. Sorry. You have to be really adaptable quicker. I think we went in with a plan we felt as though if we bowled good test match line and length that you would be able to, that there would be enough there. Then they got hit off that length and we went shorter rather than fuller, which was probably a defence mechanism first to go a touch shorter, try and protect the straight boundaries and get some men out in the boundary and really defend that way. So once we went fuller and we had a bit more protection square of the wicket, but we bowled fuller with the straight men up, and it felt like that's when we started to really rein it back in and really stop the scoring. So I think you just have to keep changing it up and chopping and changing your plans as well as your bowlers and your execute. You want to execute all the time, but naturally we go shorter first rather than fuller. And today was a good learning for our boys to bless you, to go fuller as well. You bring in more modes of dismissal, then you're bringing in LB and bold, which are 2 huge percentage dismissals. So when you go defensive and you're on the back and you're bowling back of a length, you're only really looking for caught behind or a mistake from the batter. So that was probably a lesson for us.
Aaron, can you describe the emotions when you did bring up the 100 today?
Yeah, it was all right. Yeah, that's nice. It's always nice to get 100 and contribute to a win. Well, it doesn't really bother me if I get 99 or 100. It doesn't make a huge amount of difference to me personally. As long as you get yourself into a position to help the team win, that's what I'm more worried about. Obviously, that's better than getting none. Don't get me wrong. It was nice to get 100. It just doesn't. Winning the game is far more important than getting 100, a personal milestone. But it was actually nice to kick on past 100 and get 150 and go a little bit deeper than probably what I have. I've done it a couple of times recently in Dubai, but other hundreds have been 104, 5, 10, around that mark that they obviously help get yourself into a good position, but getting a 150 probably allows your side to go a little bit deeper and go a bit harder with your middle order.
Aaron, Sri Lankan team manager, he complained to the ICC about pitch, but Sri Lanka team batting also very well today. Yeah. What do you think about pitch?
I thought the pitch played beautifully today. I thought it was I thought with how dry it was underneath, it might spin a little bit more as the game went on, which it didn't. It played beautiful all day. Maybe a little bit of rain at the start of the Sri Lankan innings helped that. But if you play enough here at the Oval, you know that when there's a nice covering of grass on it, it keeps a bit of pace and carry in the wicket, which you need. Otherwise, they turn into pretty slow and boring boring type games where there's all the guys are in front of the wicket, you're bowling stump to stump, and it's not very attractive cricket. So at times you can walk out there and think that the wicket looks like it's going to seam around and it's going to be a minefield for the batters. And they actually play a lot better than they look at times, and I think credit to the groundsman. He's had the covers on here for a long time. There's been a lot of rain around London over the last few days, so to produce a beautiful wicket like that and a good cricket wicket all round with as limited preparation as he had, I think it was a great effort.
Sorry, sir. Sorry, yeah.
Aaron, you're 4-1 after 5 games, and you played 5 games in 2 weeks. So you sort of relieved that heavy stretch is over. And where do you think you sit in the grand scheme of things as you sort of take stock at the halfway mark?
Yeah, it's been a busy period. I know that the boys are looking forward to an extra day off. Travel tomorrow up to Notts. Not much planned on Monday. I think the boys will get out and play some golf or relax however they want to do that. Train Tuesday, Wednesday, play Thursday. So it's still a busy period, no doubt, but it's not as hectic as it has been the last 2 weeks, like you said. So when you're playing really good cricket, it's nice to be playing all the time, and it feels like the back-to-back games are really good because you get on a roll, you get in the playing mode. So. But I think the boys do need that extra day. Will do the world of good in the next few days, just to mentally refresh as much as anything, because it's been a lot of time on a bus and a lot of time in cricket change rooms. So I think if we would have taken it, no doubt, at the start of the tournament, you want to win every game, but it's unrealistic, I think, at times to think that you're just going to walk in and win every game of a tournament in conditions like this. So we're happy where we're sitting, but definitely time to sit back and assess where we can improve and what we can do over the next couple of weeks to give ourselves the best chance to be standing on the Lord's balcony on the 14th of July.
Ask questions.
Aaron, 2 parts, if I may check the system slightly. Firstly, how's Coults? Is it just soreness, general soreness?
Yeah, it was just stiff and sore. He'd been flagging a little bit over the last couple of games. Obviously, over the summer, he had limited. Well, his bowling loads and stuff were quite limited with what he could do. So that was just he was managed. Well, not managed, but he was stiff and sore. Yeah.
And secondly, Glenn Maxwell, before you became captain, he barely bowled for Australia for a couple of years there. Obviously, you've seen him at Victoria, and now you rely on him to bowl 10 overs a day, and he bowled pretty well. I mean, was that something you always thought that Glenn was capable of doing more of, or is it something that he's developed in his bowling in the last 6 months?
I think that his bowling has improved. But if we go back to the last World Cup, for the majority of the games, he was our only spinner. Xavier Doherty played in the game against Sri Lanka at the SCG, which was a high-scoring run fest, really. Apart from that, Maxi was our only spinner, so he's always been capable of it. I think at the time when Steve was captain, Travis Head was in the side as well, so that was just a different option. And I think that just comes down to personal preference on who you prefer as a bowler, as the captain. So I think Smithy obviously rated Heady's bowling a little bit more, and that's fine. That happens. That's a on the day decision. But yeah, I think Max he's done really well when he's had the opportunity. He was a big part in us reining it in today. 2 lefties. He had a nice breeze to bowl with, or to bowl across that allowed him to drift the ball quite a bit, which made it he could shut down one side of the ground a bit easier.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, guys.